Hello everyone, it is Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Thank you for joining me in my little corner of the internet where I talk all things planners, fountain pens, and fountain pen inks. And today, yes, we are going to be swatching all of my Pilot Iroshizuku inks, and I will be swatching them in my Hobonichi A5 notebook with 52 GSM Tomoe River paper. I'll be swatching with my Browse ornament nib. This is the 3mm size, and I'll leave a link to where you can possibly find this in the description below. And then I've got my stainless steel Kakimori nib on my River City Penco nib holder. Let's get started. The first ink here is Chiku-rin, and this is one of the first ink bottles that I've ever purchased, but I've had this ink for quite a few years now because I really love the very, I say safe, but I love the green of this ink that you can use in spring or in summer. It's really a great base green to have, and it's one of those greens that I feel like can match almost any season. It also shades beautifully. It's got great flow out of most nibs, or really any nib that I use it in. And I think it's one of those inks that if you're gonna have a green in your collection, this is definitely one to have. Now I'm putting some on my stainless steel Kakimori nib, and from here it's actually very, very wet. I've had to remove some on the towel next to me, and I've had no issues. I really don't have any issues with Pilot Iroshizuku inks. I think they're all great writers. So here I am writing Chiku-rin. Hold on, making sure I actually get some on my nib and doing these figure eights. Such a gorgeous ink. The next ink I have is unfortunately no longer in production. It is Ine-ho, one of my favorite inks, but also probably one of the most beloved in the fountain pen community. And I'm always a little apologetic whenever I have to show this ink because I know that there's so many people who would love this. But look at this beautiful kind of wheat brown. Whoops. And I have actually done a couple of videos where I try to do a dupe of this. So I'll leave those in the description below. It's got Pilot Iroshizuku. These are so wet. Ine-ho. This shades so beautifully. I absolutely love this. I'm gonna try and take some off here. I splattered some. Ine-ho. The next ink is another, I'm sorry, discontinued ink. It is Kiri-same, and I purchased this actually back in June, so it was still available in one of the retail shops that I visited local to me. I say local, but in Calgary, so about 3 hours away from me. And they still had this in stock, and this is a lovely gray. Now, I don't normally go for gray inks because I find them too similar to black, but this ink has been used in a few recipes for Ine-ho dupes. But also I feel like having a gray ink in your schedule, in your collection, is helpful as well. So Kiri-same. I love that it's a gray that actually looks gray when you write with it rather than just looking like another black. So there we go, Kiri-same. The next ink is Ku-jaku, and this one was influenced, I believe, by, I believe it was Helen of the Coffee Monsters Co. who influenced me with this. She was actually one of the first people that I used to watch for fountain pens and just recommendations. And I love how her collection is really quite functional and it works for her. There's like fiber in there or something. But yeah, the Ku-jaku is a really great turquoise or teal. I'm gonna dip some of this in here. And there we go. It's one of those that's definitely a lot more interesting than just a regular blue. That's lovely. Perfect. Ku-jaku. The next ink is Shin-kai, and now I have to admit, this isn't an ink that I actually use regularly. It's one that my husband loves for his fountain pen collection. Now, if you're not familiar, I just spilled a whole bunch on my blotting paper. So my husband, his fountain pen collection was acquired by me, and I'm the one who normally cleans his pens, refills his pens. I'm the one who owns the ink collection for him. So this is an ink that he uses. I'm not really a huge fan of blue black, but he loves this for his collection and for his day-to-day writing. So this is Shin-kai. For those who love blue black, this is a great one for you. The next one is also another one of my husband's. It's Shin-ryoku. I say it's my husband's, but it's in my ink collection, and I'm the one who fills up his pens for him. But it's this lovely dark foresty green, very different from Chiku-rin. It's I only have actually half a bottle of this left because I spilled half a bottle. I can't remember when I spilled it, probably like a year ago. And yeah, that was a fun time trying to clean that up. So we got Pilot Iroshizuku, Shin-ryoku. It's a beautiful green. It's one that I don't use though, and I really should. I don't know why there's kind of like a brain block for me using greens, but it's really lovely. I really should use that. So that is Shin-ryoku. The next one I only have a sample of. It is Syo-ro. And this one is, I feel like it's very similar to Ku-jaku, but you may argue with me if you feel like these two are really, really different. I feel like for me, they're very similar, and I don't mind just having a sample of this one. Although I feel like now that I've swatched it, I can see the similarities, but I can also see like a hint of why it's different, but we'll wait for them to dry and see. So this one is Pilot Iroshizuku, and I know I didn't need to write Iroshizuku for all of them, but that's okay. Syo-ro. And these are all quite wet, lovely flowing ink, so if you ever have trouble with your pen, highly recommend trying it with a Pilot ink. Next we have one of the newer inks. It is Shin-gyo. Where did I purchase this from? I cannot remember where I purchased this from. I think it was AliExpress actually. I purchased this alongside my Kakuno in the Madarome pink, and I love the color of this one. It's kind of like this burgundy wine purple, which funny enough is really a color that I'm drawn to, even though in day-to-day life or before fountain pens it was not a color that I liked, kind of like pink and brown, but here I am liking those colors, so who knew? It's really pretty and shades beautifully. Perfect. Shin-gyo. Next we have Take-sumi. This is the one that I have inked in my Pilot Vanishing Point. It is my planner ink because it's always in my planner pen, I guess. And I never thought that I would have like a black ink in this huge bottle, but it's one of those that is like my everyday dependable in my planner. And I can't imagine not having this inked in my vanishing point. No, I did put a lot down there. So let's see if I can grab some on my, without making too much of a mess. So we've got Pilot Iroshizuku Take-sumi. Sumi. It's such a great writer with the extra fine nib that I've got in my Pilot vanishing point. Love that. Next is another new one from Pilot. It's Turo. And this one was actually one I purchased as a dupe or a similar ink for Ferris wheel press buttered popcorn, because I was asked to do or to find inks that were pretty similar to that were still actually legible. And I found this one is for like a yellowy orange or orangey yellow, is actually quite legible. It's Pilot Iroshizuku Turo, and the flow is great with this as well. So if you're looking for something similar to Ferris wheel press buttered popcorn, this is a great option. So Pilot Iroshizuku Turo. The next one is Tsuki-yo. I really like this blue because it's not your typical blue black. There's a bit more of a blue tone to this ink, and it's one that I use regularly for testing new pens. And I don't know what it is that's so different about this ink from Shin-kai, but I prefer this. But also I think when Shin-kai dries, there's a lot of red sheen to it as well, which sheen isn't really something that I look for in inks. And I know there's quite a few inks here that do sheen once dry, but it's not so bad that it gives me a headache. But I really like Tsuki-yo. I feel like it's a little bit more of an interesting blue than Shin-kai. Really lovely Tsuki-yo. Next we have another discontinued ink. It is Tsukushi. This is a lovely, more reddish brown, and I really don't know why Pilot discontinues their inks. Maybe it's a production issue or something like that, but this is a really lovely reddish brown. Not normally a brown that I would go for. I like more of the yellowy browns, or say the caramel creamy browns, and this one I feel like is a little too red for what I normally go for. I'm trying to take some of the ink from the really big swatch. It's Pilot Iroshizuku. Oh, I didn't take enough. Tsukushi. Beautiful brown, and you can see even in the lighter areas it definitely looks more red than brown, but really pretty Tsukushi. And last but not least, we have Yu-yake. This was not an ink that I would have purchased except for when I was doing my Ine-ho dupes, or trying to find recipes for Ine-ho. This was one of the inks that was suggested as part of the recipe. And it is a lovely orange, and oranges are not normally a color that I go for, but if you ever, need an orange or really like the autumn colors, this is a wonderful orange to go for. It shades beautifully, behaves in a pen really well. Really, with all the Pilot inks that I've ever tried, I don't think I've ever had an issue with any hard starts or anything like that in my pen. Beautiful. That is Yu-yake. So there are all of my Pilot inks. Now there are a couple that I wish I actually did have in my collection. One of them is Murasaki Shikibu. This is a beautiful, beautiful purple, and I keep telling myself that I don't need it, but then now that I've done my Pilot collection, I'm feeling like I really could have used that beautiful, beautiful purple. And then I can't think of any that I really want to add to my collection, but let's take a look at this. Like when you look at, for example, Ku-jaku and Syo-ro, Syo-ro looks slightly darker, and then maybe there's a bit more green in this, whereas Ku-jaku has a little bit more blue. I really love Syo-ro. I mean, you can definitely see there's a lot of sheening happening with these inks here, even with Take-sumi. But when you're writing with them, the sheen doesn't actually take over it. It's really, really lovely. I really love Chiku-rin. It's such a wonderful spring, summer green. And then I'm thinking here, Shin-ryoku. I really should use that in a pen again. And then Turo. I never thought that I would go for orangey yellows, but this is actually a really fun one for summer and a really great substitute for Ferris wheel press buttered popcorn. Tsuki-yo, one of the great inks that I love to use for testing new pens. And then Tsukushi. I hate the fact that it's discontinued because it is a beautiful, lovely brown. All right, which one of yours is the favorite, or which one of these is your favorite? Or do you have an Iroshizuku ink that I don't have in here, or I haven't mentioned that I've tried? Let me know down in the comments below. All right, but that is it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know down below. Otherwise, don't forget to hit that like button and to subscribe. Thanks again, and have yourselves a great day.